Okay, this third video is designed to help us learn how to do some lips today. So we are going to start by rolling actually a couple of coils. Take a large coil, okay, longer than you think, and we're going to use those to make your lips. Okay, so first off, a couple of things about a person's face. Number one, the corner of their eye should match up with the edge of their nose. Second, the center of their eye should match up with the very, very corners of their mouth. So if I was going to make this face look realistic, that's the very first thing I would do, is find the edges and corners of my mouth. And then the second thing I do is that you're going to find the center of your mouth by the edge of the nose and the bottom of your chin. It's right in the middle. So that right there is the placement of my mouth. Okay. Second, I'm going to draw a line from the tip of the nose down the center of the clay, because that's where our ridge will go, that is right between the nose and the mouth. There's a very large area that slopes up towards the lips. So first things first, you're going to attach your coil, which, by the way, depending on the person, most people's top lip is bigger and hangs past the lower lip. So when I put this coil on, this should be the skinnier of the two coils, and the corner of the mouth is going to slant a very big angle towards that top lip. Okay, second, I'm going to take this next coil, and I want it to be slightly larger than the first one. That'll do. And I want it to be the right length. So then I'm going to cut it there. Okay. And then I can take it off and I can reshape it a little bit. There's my corner, and there's my corner. Still a little off, but we can fix that when it's on. Okay. And now the next thing is you have to have these things. Actually, I'm going to push that out to reach the corners of my mouth. The next thing you have to have is some coils or some thickness in here as it's sloping towards the mouth from the nose. So I actually take a large chunk of clay and I will form a triangle with that large chunk of clay. My clay is fairly wet, that's why I'm getting away without slipping and scoring. Okay, that might be a little too tall. Let's remeasure. Okay. And then I'm going to put that on there. I know it looks funny. That's okay. It's not going to look normal until everything is attached and then actually sculpted on. So starting with this piece right here, I start by really knitting that in well, sloping downwards. So that gets sloped in. And that gets sloped in. And then between, right there on that center part, is a divot. So you can use a paintbrush end, you can use a chopstick if you don't have any clay tools at home, or you can use your actual clay tools to push in that center ridge. Because that's actually really important to how lips come out. Okay? And then I'm going to knit these two together just a little bit. And then I'm going to knit this on to the top. And I'm going to start angling that more than what I originally had it on there as. Okay. Taking away clay. Okay. I'm going to knit that there. And knit that all together. And now as your lips go from the center point out, they slope downwards as well. So I'm going to get rid of some of that clay and some of this clay, sloping downwards and out. rid of some of that clay. Okay. Okay, now the bottom lip actually sticks past, or the top lip sticks past the bottom lip in most people's cases. So right here on the corners of the mouth, I'm going to put in my pointy part, and I'm going to pull a little bit of that clay away and soften that. And the same thing over here, with some of that clay, and have it come towards that corner at a softer angle, I guess is what you could say. Okay. You have to go back and sometimes redefine. And you do want to knit it into the bottom, otherwise it could risk popping off. Okay. A lot of people's lower lip is fuller than that, so we might have to add a little bit of clay there, but don't have to. Okay, now for the actual top lip and getting that correct shape. When you sculpt the top lip, the most important thing to remember is that no matter what shape you do, it needs to be symmetrical. So I'm going to start by just kind of drawing it on. So there's my symmetry. Maybe I want it in a wider angle. As long as it's symmetrical, and it's the same on both sides, that's what matters the most. So drawing downward. Okay. And then from here, your lip barely is higher than the skin around it. So right now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to start pulling just the scraping, actually, not even pulling, scraping just the tiniest bit of clay away from the lip so that the lip sticks up past the edge of the skin itself. But it really is a very subtle difference. And if you look at somebody's face very closely, you realize it's a very subtle shift. Fix that lower lip. Okay, and then you get that kind of done. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is your lip is actually angled upwards. So we have to angle that lip so that it's facing up. So you're going to take a tool, a flat edge tool, and you're going to stick it in the center of the mouth, and you're actually going to press upwards to give it that correct angle. Okay, and you might have to push back from the other side and then soften it with your fingertip. Okay, so sticking that tool in, pressing upwards until it hits the edge. Okay, softening it with your fingertip. And I still need to pull some clay from this edge. It's a little too big. It's easier to pull away and take away than it is to add more after the fact. So that's why I start with such a large amount. And then I kind of lost my ridge in here, so I'm going to pull it back in. And I'm going to soften all of these edges and lines with my finger. Okay, now coming back to the bottom lip again. I might want a bigger lip on the bottom. It really just depends on what kind of a person you're sculpting and who you want it to look like, because everybody's lips are different. But basically, the most important things is the lower lip sticks out past, top lip sticks out past the lower lip, and the skin is slightly above or lower, shallower than the lips themselves, and that the top lip angles upwards.